talking about damage profile. You don't have Gwen or Rumble, so it would be pretty risky to try that. I think AL understand as well, or believe that this is going to be 369 Jace by this point, so they are taking away mid laners they don't want to see Creme go into. The Yone felt like a given. Wonder what else they would not want to see paired with Kanavi, Sejuani, yeah, the Akali. So more dive threats onto a Corki that they've already shown.
I mean, and at this point as well, the value of Silas is actually quite low for top esports, right? Maybe stealing away the Maiden is really good, and maybe stealing away Grand Starfall is got some pretty niche uses. But Corki not the greatest ulti to try and steal away, but Silas, it's banned. Cool, wonderful. I didn't think they'd ban it themselves, but it's what they've opted into, so here we are. Flexibility as well, worth mentioning in that Pantheon. Yes, it's been frequently used as a jungler. Could end up going down to that bot side as support. Kael has played this Panth before, but instead going to go blind picking his AD, blind picking his support, it looks like.
I don't hate it, knowing that you're playing into a Sejuani. You see a Misfortune comp, so you know there's got to be a lot of engage to set up the bullet time. It's hard for Chris to find a really big counter, I think, in this matchup. It has to be an engaged support alongside Sejuani. And they'll lock in the Nautilus, which Alistar can deal with fairly effectively, I feel like. Now, obviously not the easiest straight-up counter. Victor, though, for Creme. So you got makeshifts of a big frontline comp with two scaling threat, but then you also have Misfortune Jace. So this is an interesting comp to bring together.
It's going to be very heavily reliant on their team fights, and they also probably want to be a little bit further ahead in the early game than not. But that's not to say that AL have amazing scaling either, to be honest with you, right? Like this, Yorick in a side lane might be able to do good work. So I think that's their best avenue for success. The Corki, as far as his damage goes, yes, very high output as we move later into the game, but very susceptible to getting caught out by the likes of Nautilus ulti, Sedge ultis, right? He's a very short-range marksman, so we need to keep our eyes out for how AL can look to push this envelope as well. And I do think that with Sedge and Pantheon, our two junglers, they are maybe a little bit more prone to getting things done before level 6 than the Neferi, than the Vi, and we could end up seeing a Tarzan versus Kanavi masterclass.
That's what I want, but I do see one thing that I find is super interesting given how Game 1 went. Creme, or Shanks was on his patented Azir as the one true scaling threat. Creme now might not be his patented Victor, but he is in a very similar scenario where if this game goes long, Creme will be in a very similar Exodia spot to Shanks from Game 1.
Yeah, it's a real concern where he can probably just start taking over the game, and it won't really mean there won't really be too much to do about it. Like if we look at the gap close and the ability to kill a Victor in this game, not something that is in abundance for AL, I'd say. Maybe the Pantheon of flying in with the Ori ball over the top is a possibility, but it's not something that we'd outright say, yes, very advantageous for them.
Here we go. Back onto the Rift. 18 series wins combined between Anyone's Legend and Top Esports. A mere three series losses right now as we see them match up for the final time in the Rumble stage. Second time through the round robin. And Anyone's Legend looking to do the unthinkable in this matchup. They didn't sweep them in grand finals. They lost in 4. They went up Game 1 against Top Esports and threw the last 2. And lost in the first round robin. Can they do the unthinkable so far in the Rumble stage, sweep out the defending champions?
And it'd be completely against the run of how these two teams have played against each other. A reminder that this has been our hallmark matchup for 2025, but recently it's been Top Esports that are taking these games, taking these series, whether it be BO3, BO5. Top Esports have had the run of AL for the last couple of times these two teams met against one another. AL won Game 1 last time in the Rumble stage, but they've still not been able to find that victory since that split 1 group stage. It's been a long time coming for AL to try and find a series win after that, and maybe this game will be the game, but I think it starts off with Tarzan getting very aggressive early on and really starting to make the bot lane's life really difficult in particular.
And on top of that, for later into this game state, it's Flandre. Once again, such a unique player throughout his career, especially in recent games for AL, but scrutinized for some of his picks in very pivotal matches. If he could get the space he needs on this Yorick, we know how devastating and backbreaking it is, especially for a comp like TES that is all about team fighting.
Level 2's hit down on that bot side. Flash!
Kael immediately goes in onto JackeyLove, has to pop the barrier into the Ignite. Hope can't get close enough to finish off this kill, but JackeyLove licking his wounds, popping biscuits, pots, anything to try and stay competitive in this lane early.
Yeah, and now with no barrier, it's good that JackeyLove holds the flash, but obviously will be a little bit more susceptible to going down. Kael and Hope able to find that push, the power of Phosphorus Bomb, and the AoE spell that Alistair has as well, clearly proving to be just enough there, and getting a small lead in that bot lane. You see massive HP threshold advantage for anyone's Legend, and I like to think now that a little bit of good wave manipulation, they can start to really choke out Crisp and JackeyLove. This is actually looking really good. The next wave will come in, we'll start to push back against them, and hopefully anyone's Legend can start to set up a freeze and start to punish Jackie and Crisp for stepping a little too close at level 2.
And for Crisp, it's so hard to try and give space because this Alistair is such a problem into the Nautilus as well. And both junglers are much more obsessed with the top side here as Tarzan spots out Kanavi, trying to potentially set up for a dive. Does smite away his Krugs, but Kanavi with the small ones is able to grab a level advantage. So Flandre, who thought he had the protection of his jungler, now is very, very concerned about this dive manifesting, trying to get as much damage down, use his ghouls to buy more space, and luckily that seems to be just enough to avoid a potential first blood dive.
So Flandre's able to weather the storm of the early game Jace, only down by 4 CS, and worth mentioning that Kanavi did steal away those Krugs on the top side, so he's actually able to find a pretty decent advantage with that as Shanks, actually forces the flash from Creme in the mid lane.
Scorch nearly made the difference there. Shanks quietly takes hold of this mid lane matchup where we came in really praising how Creme had played as of late. Shanks definitely hearing the calls, but again, just marginal little differences. We're waiting on especially Tarzan to find a way to capitalize on these issues.
I wanted to look down at that bot side as well, just to see what happened to the wave. Looks like Kael and Hope have been nice and not really enforced a freeze upon them, and now 369 zoning away Flandre.
Oh, he's hoping to get the slow there off the slam down, but Flandre is able to escape. Doesn't have to burn flash. Does get weak-sided, but this isn't too much of an issue because the rest of AL are trying to capitalize on the other side of the map. Kael Hex flashes over the Raptor pit. Doesn't look for that engage just yet as we start to see those lane swaps manifesting once more at the 4-minute mark.
Yeah, but this time it's Crisp. Oh, okay, hold on. Good engage comes through with a hook, but it's Crisp moving into the mid lane to try and break this freeze and try and give Creme a little bit of breathing room. Shanks now in a little bit of a better position as Tarzan's here.
Creme
no
does not have flash. Has a huge gravitum field, though, to make sure no one can push the rest of the damage through. Now Tarzan's kind of a bit caught out as JackeyLove's the first one to swing over. AL on the back foot. Chris flashes, but doesn't get the auto down, so Tarzan immediately matches flash for flash, and nobody ends up dropping.
He flashes for the auto, but he'd already rooted him in too frequent a window. Means that flash auto attack is just a Nautilus base auto. There's no root coming through, and unfortunately that's gonna sting quite heavily, you'd think. Would have definitely been a kill that they could pick up onto Tarzan after that with JackeyLove there, but not going to be the case this time around, and First Blood still goes begging.
Kanavi's got the hots for Flandre right now, man. This is the third time he's waned towards his side of the map trying to make a gank work, but again, the vision prevails and Flandre throws a 0 up on the Kanavi gank scale.
Pushing away, Creme again forced to recall in that mid lane, and 10 CS down. You can see Shanks doing pretty well, catching up on any of the misgivings that he's had in previous seasons, in previous series. Game number 1 had the run of things versus Creme. Game number 2 as well seemingly has that exact same boat. This time around, though, the rest of his team not quite in the same position. The CAL across the board, only down by 100 gold or so in their respective roles, but not quite finding that same success just yet.
see if Flandre now can get a lot more space for himself. This is a huge boost for Yorick. When you get the main out, it creates such a problem for 369 to deal with. Now there's ghouls, there's maiden, there's just perma push available towards this Yorick.
And rushing towards what is going to be those plated steel caps as well just gives him a lot of buying power in this lane versus the Jace that has opted into a very scaling-oriented build as well with the tier with the Cull, never really expecting the Jace to push out the Yorick anymore, and honestly maybe even gives a window for the Yorick to start trying to fight back and for Flandre to find an advantage potentially in those 1 versus 1s.
Crisp and JackeyLove positioning somewhat aggressively, but they are definitely down in XP, given how much roaming they've done towards the mid lane. So glad they didn't look for an engage here. We've once again settled into another tense but slow-paced early game. And Roodood, who do you feel like it's favoring so far?
I mean, it's currently, if Creme can weather off this storm and not just outright lose to Shanks, then it's fine. But I start to favor top esports. I think that Victor moving into the late game has got a lot of agency this game. Doesn't really have many ways of dying. Just needs to be careful for Tarzan plus Shanks duo, and then he'll probably be okay. You can go toe-to-toe with a Corki quite nicely as you move into the late game, so it's not something that you'd necessarily be worried about. Tarzan taking this dragon, and so far, top esports haven't responded on that top side with the grubs, and I don't know that they'll be able to necessarily very easily. You can see Shanks pushing in this mid wave, and I think that this mid pressure is going to seep into the movements around this top side, around this Herald as well. Or Grubs, excuse me.
Yeah, JackeyLove and Chris, though, did get that shove into their turret, though, and Tarzan has some camps to clear. This was the same trade that AL made last game, comfortably, switching that dragon for the grubs. Though, it does have much bigger ramifications knowing you're the Yorick comp. That's definitely telling something.
Well, they're looking for a fight here. Remember, this is going to be Grand Starfall for Tarzan.
Yeah, but look at Kael. He's just so persistent. JackeyLove flashes. That's a perilous bullet time trying to save his own skin. And what do they get off the back of that as well? They grab the grub as Shanks goes toe-to-toe with Creme here. Much more healthier, trying to use the shield to buy himself time. He doesn't care about the Arcane Storm. He doesn't care about the rename at all. All he cares about is AL wins. They get the first kill. Yeah. They stop the grub stacking, and they're just finding him.
Yeah, I mean, taking these trades or trading like 1 or 2 grubs is absolutely fine now, and finding that first blood as well. On to Hope, no less. Somebody who in game number 1 was hesitant to flash over that wall and take down JackeyLove does not have those same reservations in game number 2. Flashes over, takes out his counterpart, and Misfortune feeling a little worse for wear, right? One of these champions that can so frequently be in a tricky position if she falls behind. Well, unfortunately, JackeyLove, that's exactly the situation you find yourself in.
Creme, buddy, once again.
You're going to have to flash soon if he's not careful.
Yeah, I was saying, he's really just trying to keep steady with this CS number, but if he isn't careful, he's going to sacrifice his life. That CS lead is ballooned to what even after this reset is going to be right around 20.
Yeah, and it means that he's forced to TP back into this wave if he doesn't go back, and now Shanks can continue to pressure him under this turret. He's going to need support from Kanavi just to catch this wave, which then means that he's losing out a little bit on the experience front. Fortunately, he has reached that stage of the Victor where just 1 E through the wave will take out the caster minions. A couple of autos to take down the melees as well, so it's not particularly hard for him to start getting CS successfully.
Did give a plate over, so Shanks gets a bit more of gold. The one sore spot, though, for AL is the 369 has been a demon farming alongside JackeyLove. They're both creating some pretty good CS numbers. I will say, Hope is up in his lane, but Flandre is definitely down the most CS of anybody on the map right now. Just trying to buy more time as the Yorick.
And now with the Catalyst picked up for Creme, the lane starts to get that little bit easier as well. He's got a little bit of built-in sustain. You'd love the Rod of Ages to be picked up just to make it super straightforward, but it does mean that Shanks is going to still have a pretty decent run of things. Even though he's taken this tier 2 boots hit stop, that's a massive investment into not your first item, which kind of speaks to the fact that if Creme and he reaches the first item on their same recall, that, well, really, Shanks is kind of doing very well.
Trying as much burst behind that shockwave. That's the combo that AL have secretly set up with Tarzan and Shanks to try and kick off fights. But remember, this is a comp designed to try and play the 4-for-1, try and lean in to Flandre, who definitely has slowed down his scaling building for survivability into 369. He's got the plated steel caps, but look what this Yorick is doing in wave pressure, right? I mean, JackeyLove is ulting the wave just to make sure that off a reset, Flandre doesn't take a whole top lane turn, and Kael's experimenting with the Hex Flash. It gets a key flash of his own in return. Another win for the AL support.
Yeah, massive win, honestly. Kind of out of nowhere, but now they might be caught out on the top side.
Remember, Hope doesn't have any flash. Kael does have the Unbreakable Will. He's going to pop it. Gets a bunch of big knockups. He's surviving and really just thriving right now into Chris 369 and Kanavi. In comes Tarzan. The Glacial Prison on the backside of Kael will trade him. But that's support for top laner. And look at Hope, who just gets the free hit this entire fight home. All the space brought by Kael. Cash's feats of warfare for anyone's legends.
And perfect from the observers here, panning straight down to that bot side. Looking at the minimap, Creme was moving up into the top lane. JackeyLove moved to that top side as well. But Shanks and Flandre had no intention of ever making that work. They knew Hope, Kael, and Tarzan were the 3 people committing to that. That was all that they needed. They found 3 kills as well. They found 3 plates on the bot side for Flandre. And this game, it's getting more and more in favor of AL. It's looking more and more like they're going to start putting those fears of never being able to beat top again back to bed. It starts with Kael blocking the hook here by headbutting into it. Unbreakable Will into a triple knockup. Sets back up for return damage, and Kael never falters. He's always walking forward here, knowing that that Grand Starfall's coming through.
Look at the pick that Kael has found. Live, he picks off 369 without a flash. The live feed doesn't do that justice. It's Kael again, the difference maker right now in this game.
And Tarzan as well, just to call out on that top side fight. He flashes away from the Glacial Prison. Yes, Kael tanks it and goes down, but very valuable tanking from him to make sure that his teammates are getting away, getting alive, and getting those kills as well.
Look at all the space Flandre demands now that 369 falls. He's been picked off in such big spots. Game 1 might have sealed it, grabbing that wave too far down bot, and now he's just forcing Kanavi to clean up his messes, getting picked off there. If Kanavi doesn't swing down there, sacrifice camp, sacrifice time on the map, that's first turret, first brick, feats of strength all coming through Flandre.
This is a completely different look for the Yorick compared to the one that we saw in game number 2 in the last series, where, yes, he was finding time to have a short run at things in a side lane, but he's finding plates in this series, finding a little bit more gold, and now Kael once again.
He takes the turret aggro a bit early before the minions, but Unbreakable Will getting a ton of value, and he just layers the stun so well. Kael is running the defending champs of the LPL right now.
And JackeyLove again has flash, has barrier there, but the second he gets hit by that knockup, I don't think he was expecting it to be so easy for anyone's legend to take him down.
Kanavi, this is a 50-50. He just gift-wrapped the Drake and then jumps into Flandre. Shanks is here. AL are playing like they're 6'5" on the map right now, and they are just bodying the 10-1 top esports.
And this is how AL did this back in Demacia Cup, back in Split 1. They just move faster around the map. They just have, it seems to be more
my
people.
God. Tarzan, you mad lad. All that just to cancel a 369 back. If that doesn't exude confidence, I don't know what else does.
I'd like to say I think he was trying to kill the Jace there, but between phase rush and
mental warfare, Roodood.
No, okay, sorry, I forgot mental warfare. You're right. But even still, I mean, getting the cancel on the recall, getting the dragon as well, getting that kill off the back end of it. Normally you'll see a dragon and a herald traded, a dragon and a grubs traded, but AL, they sacrificed, is it 2 grubs total that they've sacrificed so far this game? And outside of that, nothing else.
Here we go, though. Kael, star of the show so far, grabbing the attention of 3, make it 4. And he is definitely caught. Also, a teleport coming through from Shanks. Bit late. Do they want to try and contest this herald take?
Probably not, is my overarching theory here, as we may see Tarzan super cone in.
Doesn't really have a lot of ways out. He has the flash. Just going to give the herald. Hope's got to be careful stepping up this far as well. The numbers are definitely to the side of TES, but maybe the shockwave damage alongside the Pantheon is enough to get Chris. The Glacial Prison does not stop the Q forward. The spear is too sharp and too plentiful. Tarzan gets one back, and now with the tempo, he's just going to force Kanavi out of his own jungle. Shanks is there with the shields. They know 369 can't come to help, so they're going to dial the pressure up even further.
It probably just means here that we're just going to see turrets taken, jungle taken, and JackeyLove forced to flash.
Oh my lord. Trades flashes with JackeyLove.
He might die though, look at 369.
Yeah, flashes forward 369 with that killer instinct, gonna punish Hope for trying to take down JackeyLove. All that just to protect the mid-tier 1 turret.
Yeah, and it feels bad for Hope there because he probably could have made that play if JackeyLove didn't have flash, and if 369 didn't sacrifice a little bit of time on that bot lane, but he did, and it means that Hope ends up falling there. Just taking a slightly too greedy way back through the jungle. Cost himself his life, and it's just a little bit too much there from Hope. Not to say that in other situations you can't go for those plays, it's just that this time round it costs him dearly, and you know, you'd like to think that in the future he'll not make those mistakes, he'll learn from that, but a rare misstep, honestly, for Hope. Somebody who's so frequently, so consistent, so stable. Maybe just an opportunity for him to try to flex his muscles a little bit that doesn't quite work out rightly.
And for AL, you got to be careful with every single misstep. This is still top esports. They have that championship pedigree. They've made dramatic comebacks. They've seen it all at this point, and they know how to play from behind. But
hold on,
I don't know if 369 knows how to play into the Maiden and this Yorick. Tarzan flies in to secure the kill, but I think that one was a 1v1.
Yeah, Flandre probably would have had that hands down, but it's good to see Tarzan getting involved as well. The power there of that baby cage, there's nothing that a Jace can do, right? Even in the hammer form, there's nothing to be done. If you have your cannon out, maybe you can start your W off and quickly rattle your way through the process of taking down that cage, but now again, free time plus demolish, like he's baiting here, just trying to bait them in. How much damage can he do? Tier 2 turret's gonna go down. Yorick doesn't play.
They're dropping like they're made of plywood right now, and this is a similar thing that AL were trying to do in game 1, right? As we continue to revisit the Creme scaling conversation, build time for him to be a monster. Kanavi, a little bit treacherous. See if he fights back into his own jungle. He's got the rest of his team coming back up. No, they're going to relax. But Roodood, back to that point, tying these mid laners in their separate games together. Creme is still a ways away from being anywhere close to that victor that can bring this comeback home for TES.
Yeah, absolutely is. Needs a lot of time, right? And that Rod of Ages as well. Not going to be helping him out with the nature of the scaling that the Victor has opted into. Also worth trying to get a counter on those Victor books as well. Like, how well stacked is he? How many of those upgrades does he have? 1 kill means he's got an extra, 20 from that? So looking at probably 2 upgrades already, maybe a third if he's like really well ratioed on the cannon minions, but it's gonna be a tricky situation for the Victor to have the massive impact that we know that he can have, and now he's caught in the baby cage.
He's caught in the baby cage. Cream's put in timeout, gets a first stun, but the slows are starting to stack, and Flandre is hunting him down with the spade. How much space can Creme buy? Another slow comes across. He goes flash for flash, but the ghouls will follow you anywhere, Creme. Flandre solo bolo.
And now it's a question for top esports. Can they even look to fight this dragon? If they do, they did lose everything top.
They're going in for Kael. They have the teleport of Shanks coming across here. Hope off to the side. Kael flies in, gets a 2-man knockup. It's onto JackeyLove. Melee burns the barrier. Kanavi sectioned off, though. The bullet time is hitting nobody until the hook comes in and finds Shanks. Grand Starfall comes across. They're going to go all after JackeyLove. Can Tarzan do enough burst damage? Yes, he can. Down falls JackeyLove. Tarzan and Chris flashing out to safety, and 369 on the wrong side of the fight is trying to run for high heaven, just buying time. But fate will come for him soon. Hope on the hunt, get a Valkyrie over the wall. Can he get the rocket lined up? 369, how much space can he buy? He's getting a whole lot of work done here, but finally the auto sinks through and locks in another AL team fight win.
And Flandre the entire time is pushing away on that top side. He secured another tier 2 turret. AL will be able to take this dragon as well. And it looks like Slayer, anyone's legend. 4,000 gold to the good, 1,500 in top, 2,000 in jungle. Tarzan putting on a masterclass once again and linking up so beautifully with Kael to find these fights. It's Kael again in that previous fight, finding the triple knockup. Honestly going maybe a little bit early, just wants to see what Shanks can do if he can get that ball on the Alistair. I mean, this team fight is going to go from bad to worse. I don't really think that we've seen a fluid engage of Alistair plus Orianna. The second that comes through, I mean, there's nothing that top esports will be able to do about it.
We asked what the difference was going to be to try and sweep out TES, and Roodood, I've been so impressed by what we talked about at the top of this matchup. AL's cohesion and commitment to their drafted comp is brilliant to watch right now. The push and pull, marvelous between this
Yeah, and they are doing exactly what they need to with getting that gold onto the Yorick, and now Shockwave again.
Oh, it's all onto
Goodbye.
Chris, though, so they commit the Shockwave onto Chris. They still have damage dealers like Creme and JackeyLove trying to push out a ton of damage on the backside, but that bullet time gets 0 value. That is a dollar store bullet time from JackeyLove, and 369 gets stunned up by Tarzan, who just reads them like a book. JackeyLove has nowhere to go. Shanks and Hope are waiting on cooldowns. JackeyLove flashing forward, trying to desperately make the difference, but just like TES, it falls flat.
5 versus 4 on the map, and anyone's legend come out on top. Flandre is playing PvE in the top lane. He does not care about what is happening with his team. He knows that they've got it signed, sealed, and delivered. The Drake will go on one time, and the Atakan will go on the other. And this game might as well just be chalked.
Oh, Roodood, I have one important question for you. How many extra Yorick games did we just buy in Group Ascend thanks to Flandre right now?
Yeah, it's going to be at least 5.
Okay,
because
5.
It looked mediocre in Group Nirvana. And honestly, I don't know that Flandre is the linchpin of this game and the reason that AL are doing so well, but he's definitely getting a free pass on this one. He's had TP for every single fight that I feel like that has been important, and he's just like, nah, I'm good. I'll chill, thank you.
Here we go, 5v4.
So they can commit so much into Crisp and then still have the damage to take the fight afterwards. Kael, I think, again, playing this game exceptionally well. And like you called out, and bullet time across a Sejuani who's stunned is not the same thing. And the spacing from anyone's legend at the backside of this fight, just tethering JackeyLove, this is the woes of a misfortune. You know, you're getting kited out by Oriana, you're getting kited out by Corki, and Tarzan is just running free from you the entire duration of this fight. This is a slaughter from AL of mammoth proportions.
We've gone through 9 of those best of 3s already, and we're looking for teams to level up in the second round robin. And AL are showing that it might just be their time to shine. Kael, I mean, this guy just ignores damage with ease. Tarzan flies in. Bullet time completely blocked by Tarzan with a shockwave. Doesn't find its mark on it, and he carries. It's Chris to die first. This time, Shanks and Creme are both a part of this fight. But look at Flandre. You were asking for him to finally join the bounce, and boy, did he make a statement just casually walking up with the main and eviscerating that fight. And now he's flashing after Creme. Flandre wants the brooms out. Flandre wants the sweep of your defending champions.
Anyone's legend are going to 2-0 top esports. Game 1, we said it was just a top thing. Game number 2 is AL dominating.
It is 25 minutes, and TES are battered, they're bruised, and they are done for. Today is not the name of just anyone's legends, it's these 5 legends as they topple the Titans.
It's taken them 3 or 4 mammoth series that go the distance, but the marquee matchup of 2025 delivers again in the LPL. This time round, anyone's legends swing back. They lost in the first stage of the Rumble. They lost at the end of Split 1. But now they return to their glorious Demacia Cup finals where they beat top esports, where they take them down. And AL in a 2-0 fashion, and in game number 2, which was far more convincing than game 1.
Far more.
Give top esports their second loss of this stage.
Second loss, first sweep. First time they've been swept out in what I believe has actually been the entire year as well, as they never dropped a swept series in Split 1. Just magnifying difference made here by anyone's legend. And now, they're just the big message here that I think prevails through, Roodood, is these guys are going to be neck and neck, and anyone's legends are just going to be tapping that top esports shoulder like, you slip up one series, first seeds like that, man.
Yeah. I mean, AL are now 9-2, I will say, just quickly.
Yeah,
so the graphic, they'll be 9-2, not 10-2, but they're still in a very good position, right? Like they've opened up that gap between second and third. They've also closed that gap between first and second. And looking at it, right, playoffs is the top four get the bye. So being in top four is the goal really for these two teams for just this stage. But again, we talk about this all the time, but the confidence that you get from coming out of a stage, being first over second, being second over third, and every single sequential place as well, is incredibly important and is really massive, really, in terms of how you see yourself going into those playoffs.
And it's a conversation that we don't want to jump too far into now, because even though we're in the second half we're in the second round robin, we still got like 7 or 8 series left for depending on what team you're talking about. So playoff positioning is a big conversation. But again, if you're the top seed, you now set yourself up to likely play, a play-in team where it's a whole different story for seeds 3 and 4. So top 2, they do have an edge, and it is important to talk about, even if we are far, far away from locking the Ascend standings.
And moreover, the fact that it's a bye that you get as well for being top 4, you don't have to play in the play-ins. You secure your spot in playoffs. Now, I think that for these two teams, if they end up going to the play-ins, they're probably a shoo-in for the playoffs regardless. But it's not nothing. It's important that you can get into that playoff stage and make that statement as early as possible.
Soaking in this dominating AL win, 25-02 on the clock. We talked all the time about TES. They've dropped single games. They played the most games out of anybody so far, this far into the Rumble stage, but I can guarantee all you at home that they have never lost a game this quickly.
Well, this decisively even, right? Like this was... Yeah. From this play on the top side, where Kael and the 3v3 that they perform is just crazy. Like everything that we get to see from all of AL in this fight, all of the mechanics were on point. From Kael tanking the hook to start it all off with, from Tarzan flashing over the Sejuani ulti so that he doesn't get caught up by it, to Flandre just chasing Creme to the ends of the earth to take down this Victor. It all was far too much for Top Esports, and all of the mechanics really. This wasn't Top Esports struggling on a macro sense. This was AL being faster to places and playing those places better.
Insanely impressive game here from AL, and I'm glad that Roodood, you've done such a good job pointing out the recent history of this matchup, because even going bigger picture, right? Even pulling off of what we saw from the last series, the LPL, when it started out, was, had so many rivalry matches. You talk about, between those 4 horsemen, the big teams like RNG matchups versus the OMGs. You saw like big EDG matchups versus OMGs. You talk about them. WE was in that mix. Invictus Gaming have their own rivals. Now in this kind of newer formed LPL, where we still have the El Clasico, of JDG TES with their stakes, but BLG's dominance has kind of wavered a bit now that we got here. Weibo's been shaky. We might have the next bout of El Clasico, whatever you want to call it, between these two teams, and the chapters just keep getting more and more enticing as the year goes on.
This is the like I said it so many times, this is the matchup of 2025, regardless of how summer or spring end, really. I'm
with you.
These two teams have been giving what for like nobody's business, and I think that it comes from the idea that AL were expected to not be anywhere near this good. There was a chance, a possibility that they might make top 4, but this organization was not meant to come into this season and be this strong and be this good. This is a complete shake-up from really everybody's expectations at the start of 2025. And now for AL, it's about seeing how much they can blow those expectations out of the water.
How high can you ride this team? What does the ceiling look like? Because, again, Top Esports, we talk about the expectations a ton because they were just at first stand. They were defending champions. But the way Anyone's Legend is playing, and it's easy to say hindsight after the series, but why don't we, in this free-for-all of an LPL, give them similar,
Yeah.
expectations the way they're going.
And the teams that they've lost to, right? Like obviously one of them was in the first Rumble versus Top Esports, and then JDG as well.
Right.
So it's two very high caliber teams that they've dropped series to.
Tarzan grabs his 7th MVP of
Okay.
the year so far. I know we didn't talk too much about it because we were so enamored in
This
what
is
this
fine,
matchup
but
means.
Kael was robbed.
Yes, that's my guy, Roodood. I was gonna say that Kael, he's our MVP, but Tarzan's gonna pick that one up as well. Again, in a win like this, there are very few guys that you can't argue for had their moments, but the moment belongs to anyone's legend, handing TES their first sweep in 11 series.
I mean that's not just 11 series for sure for this split, but then also probably the entirety of 2025 as well, domestically at the very least. It's been a roller coaster performance, even in split one when AL beat Top Esports to knock them down into the second place for the playoffs bracket. It was a 3-1. So Top never have been swept. This is the first series the entire year that they've not won a single game, and they go on stage, they get handed 2-game losses, and they leave.
And they have to find a way to recollect themselves. But for now, let's soak in the current standings as Group Ascend just gets more and